Hey, what's up guys? Alex here with a new video, and today we're taking a look at the Nikon ZF. If you're new to the channel, I am a photographer based out of San Antonio, Texas, and I primarily shoot with Sony and Leica. So how did I end up with a Nikon? Well, it's a long story, short story. Let's get into it. When this camera was announced, I was in love with its retro design. I thought the camera looked incredible. I had one gripe with it. It only came in black. These retro cameras I personally think look the best in silver. As a matter of fact, I have a Nikon FM3A here in silver, and I think it is just stunning. I just love the silver look. So when this camera was announced, I was hoping that maybe in a year they would release it in silver, but a year later, here we are, and it's not available in silver. I also had another gripe with it. When I played with this camera at my local camera store, they had it without the grip. Now, because this camera is retro design, it means it has a narrow grip. And for someone like me who's 6'4" with larger hands, a narrow grip is not fun. So I decided to pass on it. Well, in the last year, this camera has gotten a lot of attention. And my favorite photographer, Sam Hurd, has raved about this camera. So I've kept my eye on it for the last year, almost pulled the trigger here and there. But then last week, I finally decided to do it. I attended a local event at my camera store for the Nikon Z6 III, and my local Nikon rep, Terrence, actually had the ZF with the small rig grip attached to it on display. I got to play with it, and using the grip with this camera changed the experience for me. All of a sudden, it was extremely comfortable to hold, and paired with a beautiful design, I had to pick it up. So I got this camera with the 40mm f2 lens and the 28mm f2.8 lens, both in their retro style design, and I've been using it for a week. Of course, this is not a review, it's a first impressions video, and I actually want to cover three things. I want to cover autofocus, color science, and this 40mm f2 lens. So with that being said, let's kick things off. Autofocus. So Nikon was a little slow to get started in the game. As a matter of fact, I think their first Z7 and Z6 did not have the best autofocus. I believe it improved with the Z7 II and the Z6 II, but it was still behind the competition. And the competition, I mean Canon and Sony. Well, then, I think a few years ago, Nikon released the Z9. And that's where they kind of changed their entire autofocusing algorithm, and they became a top player with autofocus. The ZF inherits the Z9's autofocusing system, which is also used in the Nikon Z8. I say all that to say that the autofocus system in this camera is top-notch. As a matter of fact, it was extremely fast, snappy, accurate. I actually had zero issues with it. And I'm using it with a budget lens. I also tested it with M lenses and the TechArt adapter, which we'll talk about in another video. And it performed better than my Sony did with a TechArt adapter and M lenses. So whatever algorithm Nikon is using, this new AF is really, really good. It's one of the best AF systems I've used, and I came out extremely impressed. So kudos, Nikon. Color science. This is the part that actually kind of blew me away. So every camera, when we talk about color science, if you shoot RAW, you can get any camera to match. You're shooting raw data. And I personally don't shoot JPEG. So when you talk about color science, like, what are you really talking about? For me, it's the base RAW file you get. The reason why I like shooting with Leica and the reason why I love Leica is their RAW files are just so juicy and crunchy. The minute you import them, they just have like a vibrance to them. Editing Leica files is just easy, and you get the final result with minimal effort. I personally love my Sony a7R5, Sony a7CR, but I do have to admit it does take a little bit more work to get the colors and the look I want out of those files. Is it impossible? No, it just takes a little bit more work. Well, the Nikon ZF is the first camera I use that has that just ease of use that the Leica files have. As a matter of fact, with my preset, and I'll be showing you images throughout the video edited with my preset, it's almost a one-click edit. I apply my preset, adjust the white balance, and I'm done. These files are just really, really good. And I'm surprised that I've been sleeping on the Nikon RAW files because the colors coming out of it are beautiful. I just love these RAW files. And it's gotten to the point where I'm actually thinking about the Nikon Z8 and maybe completely switching over to Nikon because of the color science and because of how easy it is to edit these images. Lastly, the 40mm f2 lens. This is a budget $300 lens. I actually think it's cheaper if you buy the non-special edition. I wasn't expecting anything out of it, if I'm super honest. And I'm like in love with this lens. This lens is by no means like optically perfect. As a matter of fact, it's imperfect, and I think that's why I like about it so much. It's sharp, or sharp enough to have sharp images, but not clinically sharp. It almost has like this, again, just like a sharp enough look. So it's pleasing to skin tones, it's pleasing to whatever you're photographing without looking clinical. And it has some vignetting wide open, which again, those imperfections just give this lens character. And in a world where every lens coming out now is optically perfect, almost every lens performs the same as far as the top tier lenses, having some character and a look to a lens is unique and fun. And I've really enjoyed using this lens. I actually shot some pictures at a soccer game, a Copa America game, and even with lights, I don't want to say this lens like blooms, but it almost has like a pro mist filter on it, like a super light one, where you get this blooming effect on some of the highlights. And again, it's super subtle, but it's that kind of character that's made me really enjoy this lens. As a matter of fact, I haven't even tried the 28mm f2.8 lens. It's just sat on my bag because I have not wanted to remove this 40mm f2. This lens deserves its own video, and as I shoot more photos with this combo, I will definitely do a video on it. But for now, this kit here is just magic. So, where am I at? I am officially intrigued. As a matter of fact, I am renting a Nikon Z8. I have a few shoots coming up here in the next coming weeks. So I decided to rent the Nikon Z8 and some of the Nikon S line of lenses to test out. And I'm excited to see what kind of results I'm going to get. For now, the ZF will be my EDC camera. I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. That to me is important because it inspires me to want to take pictures. Combined with these small, compact, retro style lenses, I just want to pick this camera up and take it with me everywhere. But like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, this is a first impressions. This is not a review. If you've used the Nikon ZF, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, guys, if you like this video, please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good one, guys. Peace.